Hi, my name is Avery, and in this vlog I will be discussing the 2001 French film Amelie, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet and starring Audrey Tautou as Amelie. The film follows Amelie as she discovers and decides that her purpose in life is to fix the lives of the others around her. At this point, we already know so much about Amelie, such as how she grew up and how she lives in the present, as well as how she is a naive and innocent type girl. We learn all this without barely hearing a word come out of her mouth. But it doesn't matter. The film is already so beautifully shot and portrayed that you don't need Amelie to tell you who Amelie is with the use of words. Her movements and the way she acts tells you so much, as does the narrator, who throughout the film is our inside look into the thoughts of Amelie. Another feature of the film that stands out in an almost over-the-top way is the use of the color red. From bright red to more subtle, rustic reds, there is not a single shot or scene that neglects the use of it. We live in a time where the majority of color we see is gray and very drab building colors, especially in cities. So to see a film set in a city use so much bright coloring and red specifically, it almost makes you have a lighter, happier mood while watching the film because it was a warmer color versus a cool one. Some ways that red makes it into scenes is on the walls of Amelie's apartment, in background characters, and on props, but most specifically and obviously is on Amelie herself. Most of her wardrobe that she wears is made up of reds from her early childhood all the way through her adult life. I would also like to point out, however, that greens and yellows make an almost equal appearance in the film. Red is just the color that stood out to me. Here's a clip that shows just a portion of how the set design crew were able to incorporate all of these colors into everyday objects. Here, Amelie is wearing a red shirt, and random objects around her are green, such as the coffee cups and the red and green straws that stand out against the yellow wash that the entire scene, as well as the majority of the rest of the film, seems to be living in. All three of the supporting characters in this scene are in green, which typically in films is a big no-no, and just goes to prove that everyone that worked on this film knew exactly what they were doing, and they were making no mistakes while doing it. I think that one of the most insane things about this movie is how much there is to talk about it. And that may seem cliche, but it truly is one of the most amazing cinematographic movies that I have seen, and this vlog would be pointless if I didn't address this. Right off the bat, it's easy to pick out the crazy camera angles that the cinematographer chose to use, all which add their own special detail to the feelings that the film gives off. One of my favorite and one of the most commonly used tactics that I noticed being used was the use of zooming in onto people with an interesting speed from way far out. In my previous movie watching experience, I only recall seeing pans like this start from up close and move outward. I think that this is also really interesting because of how fast the camera moves in, almost as if you look away for a second you would miss the entire sequence. This is only barely a fraction of the amazing cinematography that is used in this film. At any given moment you are looking at a scene in a completely new way that in the most films would look out of place. But in Amelie, it's almost as if it was the only way that works because the film is already so kooky and creative. Overall, Amelie is a fantastic film that utilizes some of the most amazing cinematic features that people have come up with over time, and it is obvious that every single detail works like a machine to the larger picture, which is Amelie. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about one of my favorite movies I watched this quarter. I hope you enjoyed!